Hello friends, welcome to another session on statistical physics. This is Dr. Srinivas Keshatty, Professor, Vice Principal and Head, Department of Physics, Sri Shivaji College, Parbhani. In this session, let us try to study what is meant by equal a priori probability, the definition of frequency, the difference in frequency and probability, and some basic rules of probability like additive rule of probability, multiplication rule of probability, and conditional probability. Principle of a priori probability. The principle of assuming equal probability for all events which are equally likely to occur is known as principle of equal a priori probability. That is, assuming equal probability for all events which are equally likely to occur is known as principle of equal a priori probability, isn't it? So, in case of a coin, it has two possibilities, isn't it? When a coin is tossed, either head will come or tail will come up, isn't it? So, both the possibilities are having equal probability. So, assuming equal probability for events which are equally likely to occur is known as principle of equal a priori probability. In order to understand this concept, let us take a small example of a box, isn't it? So, in figure a box is shown and it is divided into two compartments, equal sized compartments x and y. A small particle is thrown from a large distance, isn't it? A small particle is thrown from a large distance such that the particle must fall in the box. The particle is falling in the box. So, the particle has equal probability to fall in compartment A x or in compartment y. Then the probability of particle to fall in compartment x is same as the probability that it may fall in compartment y. The probability of falling the particle in compartment x is same as the probability of falling the particle in compartment y. So, there are equal possibilities of falling the particle either in compartment x or in compartment y. Thus, the particle has equal a priori probability to fall in either in x compartment or in y compartment. Similarly, in case of a coin, it has equal probability to fall with either head up or tail up. That is, both sides are having equal a priori probability. In case of a die, isn't it? All the 6 sides have equal possibility to come up. So, there are 6 mutually exclusive events in case of a die. So, all the events can occur, all the events have equal a priori probability. What is meant by frequency, isn't it? So, the formula for probability that we have studied can be used in the experiment that possess symmetry. In the previous lecture, we have studied what is meant by probability. The number of cases, probability can be defined as the number of cases in which certain event occurs divided by total number of equally likely events, total number of possibilities, you may say, isn't it? So, this definition or this formula is applicable to the experiments which possess symmetry, isn't it? But in case of asymmetric experiment, that is, in the experiment where all the outcomes are not equally likely, the general formula of probability cannot be applied, isn't it? So, in case of asymmetric experiment, isn't it? The formula that we have derived or studied cannot be applied in case of experiment possessing asymmetry. Here we have to adopt another technique. So, let us consider an example of a coin applied with some wax on one side, isn't it? So, in case of a coin, isn't it, it is symmetric. Both the sides have equal probability to come up, both the sides have equal chances to come up. But if we make that coin asymmetric by applying some wax on one side, then both the sides do not possess equal probability to come up. Now, we have made that experiment from symmetric to asymmetric experiment. Now, the coin is not symmetric. Both the sides do not possess equal probability to come up or equal chances to come up. In this case, both the outcomes, that is head or tail, are now not equally likely. So, head and tail are not equally likely, that is the experiment is now asymmetric. In this case, suppose in n trials, in such a experiment, suppose we are making n number of trials, and in n number of trials, capital N number of trials, head comes up m times, head appears n times, then if we introduce a term called frequency represented by f. So, we cannot apply the formula that we have derived for our probability, cannot be applied for the experiments which are asymmetric, or the experiments which possess asymmetry, which are not symmetric. In that case, we have to apply some other formula. That formula is called as frequency represented by f. F is equal to m by n. So, if in m number of times head comes up in capital N number of trials, then f is equal to m by n. If we are making capital N number of trials, and in capital N number of trials, if m times the head comes up, then the frequency of head coming up is f is equal to m by n. The number of trials in which an event occurs divided by total number of trials, isn't it? So, this is the formula for frequency. Let us take an example of a coin. The coin, if a coin is tossed 50 times, and in case of asymmetric experiment, the coin is loaded with some wax, applied with some wax, and that type of coin is tossed 50 times and head comes 10 times. Then the frequency of head coming up is 10 by 50, that is 0.2. But from the definition of probability, the probability of head coming up is 1 by 2, which is equal to 0.5, which is for symmetric experiment, isn't it? So, here we find that in case of asymmetric experiment, for this kind of experiment, in 50 number of trials, 10 times the head comes up, frequency is 0.2, and in case of symmetric experiment, the probability of head coming up is 0.5. We find that the value of frequency and probability are different. That is, frequency is not same as probability. Frequency is different and probability is different. The concept of frequency and probability are different. Frequency is applied for asymmetric experiment, probability is calculated for symmetric experiment. But as the number of trials is increased, the frequency of an event gradually tend to a constant value known as probability. But if the frequency of the event, if the number of trials is increased, that is, if you take large number of trials, the frequency of the event gradually tend to a constant value, and that comes out to be known as probability. That constant value that we find or calculate after taking large number of trials is known as probability. So, we can define probability in terms of frequency. We can relate probability and frequency by this formula: P is equal to limit as n tends to infinity capital M by n, where capital M by n is the frequency, and if we take large number of trials, infinite number of trials, then this value comes out to be same as the probability. In order to obtain sufficiently accurate result, trials must be conducted until the ratio m by n differ from one another by a small value. The ratio m by n differ from a small value. So, this is the difference between what is meant by frequency and probability. Now, let us study some basic rules of probability theory. There are certain basic rules like additive probability, multiplicative probability and conditional probability. So, additive law of probability. So, let us try to understand what is the additive law of probability. This law is applicable to mutually exclusive events. What is meant by mutually exclusive events? That is, the events in which occurrence of one event prevents the occurrence of the other event. So, occurrence of one event prevents the occurrence of the other event, then the two events are said to be mutually exclusive, isn't it? Occurrence of one event prevents the occurrence of the other event. We can understand this by taking some suitable example. Such events never occur simultaneously. Mutually exclusive events do not occur simultaneously. They do not occur at the same instant of time. Either one event will occur or the other event will occur. Both the events will not occur at the same instant of time. Let us consider two small non-overlapping regions delta V1 and delta V2 in the box of volume capital V. Let us consider a box which is shown in figure. Let capital V is the volume of the box, and in this box we consider two small regions of volumes delta V1 and delta V2. If a particle is in the region delta V1, then at the same instant it will not be in the region delta V2. If suppose a particle A is in the region delta V1 certain instant of time, so it will not be present in the region delta V2 at the same instant of time. So, these two events are said to be mutually exclusive. The two events are mutually exclusive. In n trials, suppose the particle is in the region delta V1 m1 times and in the region delta V2 m2 number of times. Suppose we are throwing a particle in the box, isn't it, n number of times, capital N number of times, then out of this capital N number of times, m1 number of times the particle falls in the region delta V1, and in m2 number of times the particle falls in the region delta V2. The probabilities of finding the particles in the regions are: the probability of finding the particle in the region m1 in the region delta V1 is P1 is equal to m1 divided by n, and probability of finding the particle in the region delta V2, that is P2, is equal to m2 divided by n, m2 divided by n. The number of times the particle will be found at least one of the two regions in n trials is m1 plus m2. The number of times the particle will be found at least one of the two regions. We are throwing the particle in the box capital N number of times, and we want the probability that the particle is either in the region delta V1 or in the region delta V2 is m1 plus m. Hence, the probability of such an event is P of delta V1 or delta V2 is equal to m1 plus m2 divided by n. If we divide the numerator by capital N, we find m1 divided by n plus m2 divided by n, which is P is equal to P1 plus P2. So, this is the additive law of probability. This can be generalized like this. This law can be generalized for any number of mutually exclusive events having probabilities P1 comma P2 so on up to Pn. Then the probability that any of them occur is the sum of the probability of these events. That is, P is equal to P1 plus P2 plus and so on up to Pn. Or in summation form, P is equal to summation from I to n Pi. This is called as additive law of probability. So, this additive law of probability is applicable to mutually exclusive events. Let us take an example. A card is drawn from a well shuffled pack of 52 cards. Calculate the probability for this card to be either king or queen. So, there is a pack of 52 cards which are well shuffled, and we want the probability, we are going to draw one card from a pack of 52 cards which are well shuffled. The probability of this card to be king or queen. So, you are drawing one card, that card should be either king or queen. We want to probability of such an event. So, in a pack of 52 cards, there are 4 kings and 4 queens. The probability that the card drawn is king is, suppose P1 is equal to 4 by 52, as there are 4 kings, which is equal to 1 by 13. The probability that the card drawn is queen, let us say it P2, is equal to 4 by 52 is equal to 1 by 13. These events are mutually exclusive. Therefore, the probability that the card drawn is either king or queen is P is equal to P1 plus P2, which is equal to 1 by 13 plus 1 by 13 is equal to 2 by 13, isn't it? So, if you draw a card from a pack of well shuffled 52 cards and probability of drawing that card, probability of finding that card to be either king or queen is 2 by 13. This is called as additive law of probability, and this additive law of probability can be applied to mutually exclusive events. Second rule is the multiplication rule or joint probability. Sometimes we come across random events. Let us try to understand what is meant by random events. The events in which probability of occurrence of one event does not affect the probability of occurrence of the other event, isn't it? Occurrence of one event do not have any effect on the occurrence of the other event. Such events are said to be random events. Occurrence of one event do not have any connection or any relation or any effect on the occurrence of the second event. The probability that a molecule A gets into delta V1 at a point is P1 is equal to delta V1 upon V. So, probability that a molecule A gets into region delta V1 at a particular instant is, say, P1 is equal to delta V1 upon V. The probability that a molecule, another molecule, say B, gets into another region delta V2 at the same instant is P2 is equal to delta V2 upon V, regardless of whether or not molecule A gets into delta V1, isn't it? Whether the molecule A is in the region delta V1 or not, the probability of finding the particle B in the region delta V2 is equal to P2 is equal to delta V2 divided by V. So, these events are said to be random events. We want to calculate the probability of joint occurrence. isn't it? What is meant by joint occurrence? That at a particular instant of time, particle A should be in the region delta V1 and particle B should be in the region delta V2 at the same instant of time. So, we want to calculate the probability of joint occurrence of these events, that is probability of A getting into delta V1 and B getting into delta V2 at the same instant. Suppose in n trials molecule A is found m times in delta V1. If P2 is the probability that B gets into delta V2 irrespective of presence of A in delta V1. The number of times two events will occur simultaneously is m into P2. So, in m number of times the particle A is found in the region delta V1. So, probability of joint occurrence. Finding two particles A and B in region delta V1 and delta V2 at the same instant of time. Thus, the joint probability of occurrence of these events, these two events, is P is equal to m into P2 divided by capital M, which is equal to m divided by n into P2, which is equal to P is equal to P1 into P2. So, m by n is P1. So, probability of joint occurrence is P is equal to P1 into P2. The probability of joint occurrence of two independent events is equal to product of the probabilities of each of these events. This is the product of probabilities of each event separately, isn't it? So, this is the multiplication rule of probability. Let us try to understand it from one simple example. Throw a die twice. We are throwing a die twice and obtain two numbers. If die is thrown two times, then two different numbers will come up. Two numbers will come up, isn't it? What is the probability that these numbers are 6 and 4 precisely in that order? So, in the first throw we should get 6 and in the second throw we should get 4. What is the probability of occurrence of such type of event? In the two successive events, in the first event we should get 6 and in second event we should get 4. The probability that the first throw gives 6 is equal to 1 by 6. In the first throw getting 6 is 1 by 6. Similarly, probability that the second throw gives 4 is again 1 by 6. The two events are independent. So, the required probability is 1 by 6 into 1 by 6 is equal to 1 by 36. Then, let us try to understand what is the conditional probability. The probability for an event A to occur under the condition that event B has already occurred is called as conditional probability. So, there is a condition that for event A to occur, event B should have already occurred. So, for an event A to occur, the event B should have already occurred. After the occurrence of event B, A should occur. So, let us try to understand this conditional probability from a simple example. Let us consider an urn or a pot which contains 4 black and 3 white balls. There are in that pot there are 4 black balls and 3 white balls. What is the probability that on two successive draws the balls drawn are both black? So, we are drawing or picking up 2 balls one by one from the urn and we want the probability that on 2 successive draws we get the balls and both balls should be black. The probability that the first ball drawn is black is P of A is equal to 4 by 7 because in the pot there are 4 black balls and 3 white balls. So, there are 7 balls out of which 4 are black. The probability of getting black ball in the first draw is 4 by 7. The probability that the second ball drawn is also black is P of B by A. Probability that of getting the second ball to be black, so that the first ball is already black, that is event A has already occurred. So, probability P of B by A, which is equal to 3 by 6. Once one black ball is drawn, there are 3 black balls remaining in the urn and 3 white balls remaining in the urn. So, there are in all 6 balls, out of which 3 are black, and probability of getting the second ball, which is should be black, is 3 by 6 is equal to 1 by 2. The probability of composite event, that is P of A plus B, is equal to P of A into P of B by A. So, P of A plus B is equal to 4 by 7 into 1 by 2 is equal to 2 by 7. So, we come to the end of the video. Today in this video, in this lecture, we have studied 3 different concepts. One is the principle of equal a priori probability. Second is the definition of frequency. Then we have seen the difference between frequency and probability, isn't it? The relation between probability and frequency. Then we have studied 3 rules of probability, simple rules of probability: additive rule of probability, multiplication rule of probability, and conditional probability. Additive rule of probability is applicable to mutually exclusive events. Multiplication rule of probability is applicable to random events, and then conditional probability. So, we come to the end of this lecture. Thank you very much. We will study subsequent articles in the next video. Thank you very much.